Hey, what's going on, everybody? Boilon here, back for another video on Raid Shadow Legends. And in today's video, I want to have a little bit of fun. And by that, I want to discuss one of the teasers that was put out on Plarium and Raid's social media account not too long ago. I guess I'm reporting on this a little bit late, but you know, that's what happens sometimes on YouTube and videos. But I want to talk about collabs. I want to talk about what maybe we could see, because most likely there is going to be one very soon. By the last week of August, that's exactly when we had the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles last year. And I guess Raid and Plarium have had their earnings call. And what was kind of described in there, I think, was quite interesting about what we might see in the future, both in Raid and potentially in a collab. I want to discuss that as well in today's video. Now, before we get started with the rest of the video, I do want to bring attention to the QR code in the top right hand of the screen to get you a legendary Orc Artak, Farrakhan the Fat, Fenax, and Cryodan the Blue at accounts level 10, 20, and 30 for a brand new or alt account. Don't forget about Pelops the Victor. He's the legendary from the Argonauts faction. All you got to do is use the promo code RAID7 within the first 48 hours of a brand new account. Okay, so it does say 4 hours ago, but you know, this was I think on Wednesday evening for me, so I realized that discussing this is a bit late. So they posted this on their social media. The heroes of great many fairy tales found their way to Teleria in recent years. Who do you think will be the next one to appear? So there's gonna be a collab, like probably about this time in a month's time. And then there was this picture of the White Rabbit from Alice, who was not a character that we received in the game. Try to guess the next raid champion based on a fairy tale. Okay, there's a few things that are kind of worth noting. Based on a fairy tale, heroes of a great many fairy tales. So yeah, okay. So collabs, especially the ones in August, are most likely going to have a minimum of like 5 characters, sometimes 6. Right? We had the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, that's 4. Plus we had April, plus we had Shredder. So that was 6 there. In previous events, like we had the Alice event, if I'm not mistaken, was 4 plus Queen of Hearts, I think. And then we had the Asgardian event, or Asgard Divide, which was just before I started playing, actually. And that contained Thor, Loki, Freya, and I thought it was one more, and then Odin, right? Was it just 4 for that one? But for Assassin's Creed, we had 5 or 6, I forget now. There was quite a few characters. So more generally, there's been about 5 or 6 characters that are probably going to be coming out in this next collab. Okay, now just think on that for a minute. I do want to talk about the earnings call, and now this was a post. This was grabbed by my friend Bo's Gorilla, who does a lot of this kind of news digging and things like that. And this was every time Raid was mentioned in the MTG Q2 2026 report. This is the umbrella company behind Raid Shadow Legends. So Raid revenues grew 9% year on year in constant currencies. So some pretty good growth. This growth reflects a steady ramp up in user acquisition in the last year, which highlights the strength of the Raid IP. Content and events. Highlights of the quarter include the launch of new champions, which is the Asgardians, of course, from this year. The Web of Corruption event. The second iteration of the He-Man IP partnership, as well as double Mythic and Void Shard events, right? So, you know, primals and stuff like that. I guess what they're saying is that makes them a lot of money. A deliberately more measured pace of new content after an exceptional Q1. So a little bit slower, right? Q2 and right now, I guess, in the beginning of Q3, a little bit slower here. H2 outlook, or is that second half outlook, I think? Raid has an exciting content slate for the rest of 2026 and beyond. And the plan is to step up the pace of new content during the second half of the year, in particular into the important fourth quarter. So keep in mind, fourth quarter, October, November, December. And that means the collab is probably going to be end of August into parts of October as well. A pickup in the pace of releases in Raid. Monetization in DTC. I'm not sure what DTC means. Successfully monetized player cohorts acquired in previous quarters. Mid-core DTC 51% in Q2, up from 49% in Q1. Raid specifically called out, because zoom in a touch more, lower platform fees as a result of DTC initiatives in key mid-core district games, including Raid. User acquisition spend higher UA spend on raids specifically, offsetting lower spend on Forge of Empires and other games, I guess, in their collection. Strategic user acquisition in Raid Shadow Legends in prior quarters, driving an increase in ARPDAU. Talk about AI tools a little bit here, which is the first for the game for marketing, and then Plarium Business. It's behind me at the bottom. USD 52 million milestones payment to Plarium sellers. First earnout fulfilled out of 150 million US dollars, and the progress the Plarium team is making on their next major game, which we look forward to unveiling in 2027. Okay, so it was a pretty good year, first half of the year for Raid Shadow Legends money-wise. Now, what is going to make them even more money on the level of, like, say, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles? Now, there's some things that I want to talk about when it comes. Yes, this is ChatGPT. Yes, I did ask them a few things. Raid Shadow Legends is doing an upcoming collab in August 2026. Raid tends to do collabs a few times a year. They recently posted a teaser related to fairy tales, and I'm wondering what you might think. There's two things that we need to talk about, though, because there is public domain stuff, which is like Alice and the Asgard event. This is public domain. Why? Because they're able to alter the appearance of the characters to fit what they would like to see, like they did, right? And it was good. It was good. Just to go back to the game a little bit, right? We could go. Heck, I have some of the characters, I suppose, but, you know, Alice the Wanderer. Where the heck is my Alice? Right, she should be still at the top of it. Like it was a really great design, right? They got to do what they wanted with this. It was really cool. Did I have any other characters from Alice? Not really, but I think one person to note, because I just started playing at that time, is the Queen of Hearts. Very, really cool look there, and so I think it's really awesome, right? And when they brought out the characters for the Asgard event, I mean, it was the Asgardian characters, but they still got to put their own spin on how they wanted to make the characters look, right? So that was Freya, and of course, most of them were in the Barbarian. Actually, I think they were all in the Barbarians faction. Thor, of course, and then we had Loki as the free character there, which actually looked really cool, and they had an advertisement, a TV trailer for this, and it was really awesome as well. And then, of course, Odin, which came out for that. I think it was just the four. But they were allowed to put their own spin on how they wanted to look for Raid Shadow Legends. So that was public domain, right? The other thing, though, is that if it's not public domain and it's licensed, like it is for Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, there's in Assassin's Creed and whatnot, there is very little room for them to alter the character, really. Like I don't think that, unless they're able to pay more for that, I'm not sure that they're able to really change what the character looks like so much, just to make it kind of fit a little bit in Raid Shadow Legends. But, you know, it does make you wonder then what kind of characters they would choose for Raid when it comes to fairy tales, because fairy tales often, not always, but if it's a licensed fairy tale versus a public domain fairy tale, that is completely different. But in terms of making them money, what makes them a lot of money is licensed stuff, because that's stuff that's not going to return. Well, I'm not going to say never return, but it is going to make them a lot of money from FOMO, aka fear of missing out, because they think that's their only chance to pick up the character, like the Turtles, and therefore people will spend more money on licensed collabs. That's just my opinions. Now, some of the things that came up in the ChatGPT was a Shrek collaboration. This is licensed, keep in mind, by DreamWorks, I'm pretty sure. And this would have a fairy tale-esque kind of thing, right? But it's also licensed. So could you see Shrek characters, not really aesthetically altered much, fit into Raid Shadow Legends, right? And they kind of broke it down a bit. They're like Shrek, Princess Fiona, Donkey, Puss in Boots, Lord Farquaad as the Prince Charming or villain event dungeon boss, right? So as fun as it would be to see this, how likely would this be based on the fact that they can't really like change how they look? We have Puss in Boots, right? Kind of cute cat, right? Could be in the Skinwalkers faction, like, are cats and Skinwalkers? I think so. Donkey also maybe a Skinwalker. We need more Skinwalkers characters in general, but could you see like an Eddie Murphy Donkey style character that isn't really changed much in Raid Shadow Legends? I could see like an evil donkey and stuff like that, but I just don't think that's going to happen because it just seems like they can't really alter the licensed characters too much. I think Shrek and like Ogre Princess Fiona or something like this could fit in, or non-ogre version, right? I think this could happen as well, and I think this could fit in here, but there's a few of them I'm wondering, like, would it really? Now, they also brought up the Wizard of Oz as a very strong public domain kind of one, but will it make the same amount of money? Because as you guys know, both with Asgard and with Alice, those characters are in the shard pool, so you can summon them again after it's over. Actually, so is that guy from the Assassin's Creed, the Void Shard event dungeon guy, because apparently that wasn't actually a real character, so that is available to pull. I actually have him, but he's kind of crappy. But for Wizard of Oz, I could totally see that being in Raid Shadow Legends. It would fit very well. Dorothy, Scarecrow, the Tin Man, Cowardly Lion, Wicked Witch, Glinda. You know, like we also have like the Hollywood movies that have come out recently on the Wicked movies, right? So like I could definitely see this happening, and they could definitely do their own spin on it, like they did with Alice. But would it make as much money? I think if they're looking to like profit a lot, it needs to be I think it needs to be a license, but they've done a lot of licensing stuff lately, right? They've done things like more recently they brought back He-Man, of course, but they did Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Assassin's Creed, and Aliens and Predator, right, which happened in November and December. So it does make me wonder if they're going to continue with this licensing thing, or if they're going to kind of roll back a little bit into potentially a public domain sort of collaboration event. That's what I don't know. I kind of like went a little bit further, right? They talked about a second Alice event. That's probably not going to happen, right? And so a lot of people, sorry, ChatGPT, based on what I suggested, said that Shrek, based on because Shrek 5 is coming out soon, could potentially happen. Now, and I said I think it very likely would be something. You know, I mentioned public domain, right? So would this kick Shrek out and make Wizard of Oz more likely? Talked about Wizard of Oz again. They talked about the Brothers Grimm, right? If they wanted to go more public domain, Red Riding Hood, Big Bad Wolf, Snow White apparently is also public domain. Evil Queen, Rumpelstiltskin. Now, we've had Hansel and Gretel, as far as I'm aware. Now, this is before my time, but I know that they're in the game. Rapunzel, Pinocchio, the Arabian Nights with, like, Aladdin and Alibaba and Sinbad the Sailor and stuff like that. Like, that's kind of interesting, actually. Could be kind of cool. Maybe they could do a different spin on that sort of thing. Peter Pan and Neverland. Now, this is under public domain. However, I think the original work is under public domain, but you know, because of the other movies and adaptations of it, it might not be as clean legally. But Peter Pan, Wendy, Captain Hook, Tinkerbell, the Crocodile, yeah, there could be some interesting things there. Mentioned the Hans Christian Andersen event as well, or sorry, that there could be a Hans Christian Andersen set of characters as well. And there have been people in my Discord server talking about how, you know, this could eventually lead into something like The Witcher, because The Witcher apparently is based on, I haven't watched them. People are gonna, like, you know, trounce me in the comments maybe. I haven't watched The Witcher. I also never played the games. I'm not a big fan of third person action games, actually, so that's probably why. And but I heard that The Witcher was based on Slavic folklore. That being said, The Witcher is an IP. So if they're going the IP direction, what would an IP that is also kind of a fairy tale kind of thing? Now, keep in mind, if it is IP, if it's licensed, they can't really change the appearance of the characters too much. Witcher, probably okay, right? Especially for the kind of dark, maybe not dark aesthetic, but the way that Raid Shadow Legends tends to look. Beyond that, I'm kind of I know everyone wants Mortal Kombat, but like that just doesn't make sense from the fairy tale perspective. I'm trying to go with what they teased about fairy tales and how that could line up with Raid Shadow Legends in a licensed IP format. And that's where I throw things to you guys, because I would be curious, both what would you like to see if it is a licensed fairy tale IP? Can you think of something for me that you think that might happen in Raid Shadow Legends? That's what I'd love to know. We'll see, right? There's not too long left, and I think that's the fun part. I just kind of want to hype up the collab that's going to be coming in a couple of weeks, and I guess maybe closer to the time we'll actually get a more specific look at what's actually coming our way. But I wanted to do this video because I wanted to kind of share my thoughts, and also kind of the outlook of the game looks pretty solid. Apparently numbers are good, finances are good, so we're in a positive growth direction in Raid Shadow Legends, which means this game's going to be around for a while to come. Anyways, let me know your thoughts. And of course, before we go, I do want to remind people that you can use the QR code in the top right hand of the screen to get the legendary Orc Arctac, Varric the Fat, Fennex, and Crida the Blue at level 10, 20, and 30. And don't forget about your favorite legendary, Pelops the Victor from the Argonauts faction. And all you got to do is use the promo code RAID7 within the first 48 hours of a brand new account. That's it for me, everyone. Have a great day, and I'll see you all in the next one.
And if you like this video, make sure you hit that subscribe button if you haven't already, and you'll be greatly helping out the channel. Have a great day, and I'll see you guys on the next one.